Why people with autism struggle so much with hitting their head and why you hit your head with autism. One of the things that people don't realize is how being autistic is a challenge in a lot of different ways, but it has certain characteristics and why people with autism struggle with a variety of different things. And I share from my experience. I got diagnosed with level 1 autism about 4 years ago. I was diagnosed back in 2020. And when you get diagnosed, it's not by going through social media and learning how to diagnose yourself. It's actually getting with doctors. And it is a process. But the big reason of why, and making some clarity maybe to it, of why people with autism struggle so much with this is, if you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. That this is actually a sensory regulation. So when you have autism, you get overwhelmed very strong with certain emotions like anger, stress, joy can even be painful in some ways. But a lot of just different emotions are so strong that you almost can't comprehend, put it into words. Your communication side actually now struggling a lot of times to even try and communicate how overwhelming this all is. And your sensory overload is maxed out. So one of the defaults for a lot of people with autism, and this was something I didn't know, is to actually start hitting your head. And the reason that people will hit their head is that this is actually a form of sensory regulation. Now, yes, it is a form of self-harm, but what it's doing is it's creating a set force on your head that you are now, instead of this overwhelming of stress or frustration or anger or fear or whatever it might be, your brain is now focused on the pain almost that you're creating and the force that's hitting your head. So it gives you this temporary relief and this emotional regulation to almost regulate out your emotions. You'll actually go through like this little cycle of it until the point that you literally will emotionally regulate yourself back down to almost a calmness level. So now you can take it on, with a logical head. That is one of the most unhealthy forms of coping for people with autism. And it's something that I wish I would have known. I actually wish I would have known it was really common because as a kid, I always hit my head. I always would hit myself. And I never understood why. And it wasn't that normal form of almost like self-harm that people talk about with, scars and stuff on your arms, things. This was a physical one. But then I found out that it is this sensory regulation. And there's a lot of things that get mistaken for different diagnoses in a sense, even when it comes to like trichotillomania, which is the pulling of the hair. Sometimes pulling of hair can actually be sensory regulation. We will find different things that help override our senses, override our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions, create a sensation that we can focus on to actually give us a temporary relief from everything else. And again, this isn't to diagnose with anyone with level 1 autism or autism of any type, but this is something to share if maybe you do struggle with it or you have autism, you've always wondered why you did it. It was something that was shared with me, and it was something I found really interesting because I had a lot of signs a lot younger that I had autism, but a lot of times you get diagnosed with different things, such as like I got diagnosed with ADD, got re-diagnosed with ADHD. Throughout life, I got different diagnoses, but I've met people who, were diagnosed with OCD and different panic disorders and all this. Then all of a sudden get diagnosed with autism, realize that everything of all these diagnoses was actually this. And that's why it's really important to, learn about this stuff, because even when it comes to like autism, there's not like a Ritalin pill or an Adderall or something that you can take to help relieve, how autism affects you. But what there is the ability to find different coping tools to help make life a lot easier for you so that you can cope through a lot more than what you normally could. And that is what the key is all about. So that's why I share. I mean, if you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, hit the like and subscribe button. Comment your experience down below, because I think that's the most important thing is the more that we share our experiences, the more that we share what we've been through, the more that we share struggles that you've had and experiences and diagnoses isn't for somebody to necessarily diagnose themselves, but for people who are struggling to go, well, maybe it is this. Maybe I should question this. Or maybe I should look into this with a different doctor. Because the best part is once you get everything to make sense, life becomes so much easier, and we're all worth that. We're all worth a good life. If you have all these diagnoses and it's not getting any better and the medications aren't working, don't give up. It is a fight. It's not easy, and I wish it was. I wish it was a lot easier to get a diagnosis. I wish we could go in and get our blood drawn and they'd say, hey, this is what you got. But unfortunately, they don't, and that's where so much of it is into trial and error, being honest and open with your doctor, doing your due diligence, and then finding the doctor who has the knowledge to help it all make sense with you.